Welcome to this episode of Locked In. In this episode, we're going to be discussing the frame that I chose for this build series where I'm trying to create a bike that is lightweight, comfortable, extremely versatile that you can race cross or gravel or just do an epic road ride all year long. So if that's something you want to watch, please stay tuned and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing the frame set that I picked, a little bit of the changes that I'm going to be working with Cobalt specifically on doing before the production model is available to the public, and the killer paint job that was achieved for this bike build, which I'll be doing a tutorial on later down the line. So let's show off this Marauder frame set. This essentially is a prototype frame, so I have to preface that for this video. We will be making some changes, so there are some subtle tweaks which I'll be getting into that will be different. This is a fully carbon fiber frame and fork, including the steer tube. It does use a traditional 27.2 seat post and flat mount disc brakes front and rear with 12mm through axles. Now the frame set here is a BB30 style frame set, but that will be swapped out to a threaded bottom bracket because I'm a big believer and everything should be threaded, and so does Cobalt, so this will be changed. And it does have your standard fender mounts as well as rear rack mounts, and it can be set up either 1x or 2x as well as with Di2, and has your standard 2 bottle bosses in the triangle as well as 2 on the down tube. And lastly, the top 2 bolts that you do see will be removed for the production version. So the real reason I wanted to pick this frame set is because it really ticked all the boxes, again, that I mentioned in the first intro. This is really going to be a versatile bike for someone who's basically most likely going to be riding this in 700C, no matter what they're going to be on, road, gravel, or cross. Now, the stated clearance for this frame set is a 700x42, and I'll be obviously mentioning that in my final build with what the clearance really are like depending on the rim widths that I'm going to be running on this bike. And I have not personally tested the 650B clearance. I'm assuming it'll clear a 650B by 47, but that has not been confirmed yet. I'll be probably putting that in a later video, so make sure to turn notifications on so you can see all that later down the line. The other thing that is going to be hopefully changed and improved on this frame set is the overall weight. We're hoping to save about 100 or so grams out of the frame set itself to bring the weight down to be more competitive and pretty much put it right in between Cobalt's road bike and the Cobalt Warhawk as far as weight goes for the frame set. So in the final weigh-in for this build series, I will be mentioning the overall weight, but assume about 100 grams hopefully saved no matter what size of bike that you're going to be getting in. So now let's get into the paint of this bike, and I cannot tell you how happy I am. I unfortunately had some issues with my camera that day, so I didn't get all the pieces to it, so you're going to be watching kind of a montage as I'm talking, and I really loved how this paint job turned out. I really want to do something a little bit more retro and throwback, very Klein inspired, and essentially just took the locked in colors, let's call it by now, on a sponge and sporadically put it all over the frame set to kind of do this ornate collage of the pink, purple, and light blue that I do on this channel a lot, obviously for all my bike packing bags and other accessories, so everything kind of matches in my ecosystem of riding bikes, bags, materials, and clothing even. So I will be hopefully doing this paint job again and doing a tutorial on it. Again, because I had a lot of issues with this footage for whatever reason. I'm not sure what was going on with my camera or battery or memory card that day, but I hope you can enjoy this footage. And honestly, I am super excited how it came out. We dusted it with a little bit of the Spaceberry color that I use on the Cobalt Warhawk. So there's a little bit of synergy between the two frame sets, and I cannot tell you how much better this looks in person. I will be putting up even a few photos on here because I feel like the photos look a little bit better than some of the videos do, but I cannot wait to see how this thing looks when it's all built together, and in my head, the vision of this frame set being completed. I'm beyond excited with how this came out and cannot tell you how stoked I am to finish this build. So that's it for part 2. Part 3 is going to consist of my cockpit and drivetrain options I'm going to be using for this bike, and a few different things that I may or may not be switching out in this first iteration. So if you have any comments or questions about that, put them in the comments below. I check them every single day, as well as if you haven't followed me already on Facebook and Instagram, links for that are in the description below. And if you want to help support Locked In, since this is my full-time job, you can pick up some merch on my Spreadshirt Store, as well as I do offer one-on-one Zoom consultations about anything bike-related every single month for my top 2 Patreon supporters. And lastly, thanks for watching this episode of Locked In.
Let's get locked in.